definitely what I needed to break up these okay books with something that was just so perfect. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we are once again at the start of another weekly vlog. We're also at the start of my night shifts, so we have 7 nights in a row, which I never look forward to, let's face it, but it's fine. The week goes quick at the end of the day. But let's get back to the reader news, because I've decided for this week's physical book, the one I want to focus on is Jade City by Fronda Lee. This is the book that you all chose for the month. You had 2 different options between this one, a adult urban fantasy or a YA fantasy, and this one won by a landslide. Like, it was ridiculous how much it won by. I kind of thought that might be the case because of how popular it is, and a lot of you were saying that you're interested in it and maybe you'll use my review to see whether you would read it or not, so we're gonna go for it. I'm, again, hesitant because it is urban fantasy and that's not something I tend to go for. I mean, this year is the year of trying to go outside my comfort zone within genres that I like, so let's give it a try. I don't know too much about this apart from the fact that we have jade. It's a stone that enhances a natural warrior's strength and speed. A warrior's natural strength and speed. Mind traded, stolen and killed for, and it's controlled by 2 families, so kind of like the mafia, I guess. And there's war between the 2 clans, so we're gonna see. I haven't really read anything like that. Like, mafia is not something I would normally go for, but I've heard nothing but good reviews about this trilogy, so we're gonna give it a try. Hopefully I like it. Oh, it says on the front, family is duty, magic is power, honor is everything. Let's give this a try. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be focusing on this week. I don't even know how long it is. It looks like a proper chunky book, but 495 pages. That's not actually that bad. So that's the plans to do this. I'm also thinking of picking up an ebook. I'm not sure though which one I want to go for, which is not surprising, so I'm not going to talk about the different ones until I've actually started one, and then I'll let you know what that ends up being. But that's it. This week is just, there's not going to be loads going on because of the fact that I am on night shift, so it's going to be a lot of just trying to relax as much as I can and then getting through this, playing Animal Crossing of course. We'll go from there. We'll see what ebook we pick up. Hopefully I like this book, because last week Argo was not it. I didn't love it, so that wasn't the best start to my January TBR. So fingers crossed Jade City carries through this TBR, because that was not the best start. But it's fine. We're going to give this a try. Let me know by the end of this vlog if you're now wanting to read this one, as a few of you did say you may pick it up if I liked it, so let's see how it goes. Let me know what you've been up to, what you've been reading. I hope you're all doing well, but I think that's it for the intro. I haven't actually started anything new over the weekend. Well, that's a lie, I have, but it's for a whole separate video, so we're not talking about it here. Honestly, I've never done this before where I've had a few different vlogs going on at the same time, and it feels chaotic to not be able to sit here and tell you all the books that I've started, because I am actually in the middle of 2 physical books. So Jade City is going to make 3, but I can't tell you what the other 2 are because that's a separate video, and you will see that later this month. Safe to say, I am loving them. They are so good. So let's hope we continue on with that positivity with Jade City. But yeah, okay, I'm now just rambling rubbish, so I'm gonna go and I will probably catch up with you tomorrow after I've slept a bit after work. Good afternoon. I was about to say good morning. It's not. It's afternoon. It is actually almost 2 o'clock. It's like 20 minutes till 2 o'clock. But it is morning for me because I haven't been up long. But that's fine. The first 12-hour shift, I say the first 12-hour shift, no, the first night shift, which is the longest, is done. It's out the way, and I'm so pleased. To be fair, it wasn't that bad at all. I have an amazing night partner. You work in pairs on a night shift. She's like my best friend. I get on with her so well. That it was a good time. Honestly, we had a good time, even though we were both rather tired. Anyway, that's a tangent that you didn't need. But reading, okay, Okay, so we actually did quite a bit of reading yesterday and I'm impressed because I didn't think I would. But I did. I actually started Jade City by Fronda Lee. I got to chapter 7 and I've read 60 pages. One thing I've noticed is that the chapters are a bit long. I know, like, okay, so I suppose 10 pages for a chapter isn't that long, but it is, if that makes sense. I don't know, I just feel like the chapters are a bit long. This first bit, not a lot has happened. We've just been meeting our main characters, setting the scene. We are following members from the No Peak clan. You've got 2 brothers and a sister. They seem to be our main perspectives and they are the hierarchy of the No Peak clan, apart from the sister who left and then has come back, and she was very disgraced because she did this, but she's very much like, I don't want any part of the clan, I don't want to have to deal with this anymore. We're also understanding the hierarchies of just the social system out there, what it means to be a green bone, the fact that some people try and go after it, the lantern men that they have, which are people who aren't green bones, so aren't people that use jade, but do support the No Peak clan, and they help bring in money and are just loyal to them, and just you just getting that general landscape, which I'm finding quite interesting because I haven't read a book quite like this. It's almost like the politics of a court, because I do read a lot of like historical books with a kingdom setting, where so you'll get those politics within the court system. So it's kind of like that, but just a lot more raw and gritty because it's more of a gang type situation. But it's quite interesting, so you're just learning all those different politics and you're seeing the start of what is potentially going to be the war and the fallout because of it. So that's literally it. I would really like to finish this week, so I'm going to be continuing on with this one. And then I started a 4th yesterday because I am reading Belladonna by Adeline Grace, and I'm buddy reading this with Steph and Ellie. I will have their channels linked below as always. Yeah, this is a YA fantasy. I'm reading this as ebook. I did try getting a copy from the library, but they didn't have it, so I ended up going for the ebook version, just because, I mean, I've been saying this a lot, but I do think I'm gonna like it but not love it, and so I didn't want to pay out for the hardback if I'm not going to keep it, so that's where we're at with that one. I started this one, I think I got up to chapter 6. Let me just double check. Yeah, chapter 6, page 51. So we're doing our usual, which is breaking down the book into chapter segments and reading a certain amount of chapters per week. So we're going to be reading 12 chapters per week. There was a prologue, so we're only reading up to chapter 12 this week. So the prologue was really, really interesting to me. I really liked that. What is going on with this bit of hair? It's really like... Anyway, but yeah, I liked the prologue. I think it was really interesting. You saw it from Death's perspective, which I found interesting. I mean, it was mainly Death's perspective towards the end of the prologue, but I really liked that part of it. I always find it really interesting when you have Death as an actual character in a book. Then the rest of the chapters we've been following Signa as she is older. Basically, Death's been following her around. She can't actually die, and she's tried many ways to actually see if she can die, but she can't. And each of these instances, Death does appear and watches, and then when she's away from the brink of death, he goes away. Death's been following her around. As a result, lots of people have been dying. So when she was a baby, her family, her mum, her dad, and all their guests at this party they were throwing all completely died. As she's been growing up, she's been passed around from house to house of different family members that have been looking after her, and all of them have ended up dead. Now we're finally at Thornfield Hall, where the master of the hall, his wife has already died, his daughter is really ill, and Signa has just arrived. It is good, like I am liking it, but there is something about it that I'm not quite connecting with yet, and that could just be my general hesitation because of the fact that All the Stars and Teeth, which was also by Adeline Grace, started out the same, where I really loved the concept and everything, but then towards the end I just didn't enjoy it as much. So maybe it's just my hesitation on that, but I am intrigued to see how it's gonna go. It's a fun, I mean, it's a YA fantasy. It does what I want YA fantasy to do, which is a fun, light, easy read, which is perfect for when I'm at work. So that's the book I'm going to carry on with today. Again, just reading 6 chapters, I think, or is it 5 chapters? And then I've got a couple of other cozy fantasy books lined up that I want to read this week that are actually all short stories. So I'm thinking I should get quite a lot read ebook wise, and then obviously I've got Jade City for when I'm at home. So yeah, that's the plans. Today I'm actually going to be filming another video because the house is super quiet, so it's perfect to get some filming done, so I'm going to get that done. I'm going to be filming my February TBR, which is really early. I normally do it early, so I've got plenty of time to like edit and stuff. However, I have become a mood reader. It's quite weird because I'll be like, well, I'm in the mood for all of these books right now, and that will be my TBR, and then it will come around to reading them, and there's always a couple on there that I'm like, oh, but I'm not feeling that anymore. It's a weird one. I always read the books that you choose for the month, which, as we know, Jade City was that, as I've said. But yeah, it's weird being a mood reader. I think what helps is the fact that I do have Kindle on my phone. Oh my god, I'm breaking everything. And that just helps me pick a random book for a mood read, but it is also a bit restricted on what you have to choose from. This is a massive tangent. Safe to say, I'm going to be filming my TBR. Don't know whether I'm actually going to stick to it in February, but we're going to film it anyway. That's it. That's all I've done. Do I have anything else to tell you? Yes, I want to reorganise my shelves, but also I can't bothered. Do you ever get that feeling where every so often you want to reorganise shelves? I find myself wanting to reorganise my shelves about every 4 to 6 months, and then I want to do a complete revamp of how they look, but also it's so much effort. But right, okay, that, to be fair, did you actually need to know that? No, because we're not going to be doing it. So I'm sorry, this is what you're in for all week, is because it's going to be broken up sleep all week. So I'm going to be tired and you're going to get tired ramblings that probably don't make any sense, and editing Kirsten is going to pull her hair out at me because she's going to have to edit a lot. But this is what you chose, so thank you so much. And yeah, okay, I'm going to go because I have another video to film. I feel like that might be quite a chatty, chaotic TBR, but we'll see. Good afternoon. I am feeling a bit better actually. I woke up earlier, about like 12, and it wasn't it. I was exhausted, and so I went back to bed and feel so much better for that. But tangent aside, let's talk about the books that I've been reading, because I've read quite a bit. So I finished off the section I needed to read for Belladonna, although Steph and Ellie kind of want to just continue as we've all caught up. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue next week, I think, because it is an easy read, and that's what's kind of making everyone want to read it, because it's just so easy to fly through. However, for myself, I'm not loving it, and so I'm really pleased that I didn't pay out for the hardback version of this book and that I just got it as a Kindle. I like the atmosphere, and like I said, I think the prologue was a really positive start, but I'm just not connecting with the character, and it's just really noticeable that I'm not gelling with it. Like, I'm liking it, it's an easy read, it's a bit creepy in places, but that's about it. And I was talking to the girls about it, and I mentioned the fact that this kind of just reminds me of like Gallant by V.E. Schwab, and I'm so far preferring Gallant to this. We have very similar story setup, so both books with an orphan, both books the girls can see ghosts, both books they end up going to this spooky house, and it's like cool, but it's so similar. It deviates slightly because Gallant is a younger read, I would say. It does come across a bit younger. That doesn't really bother me too much because I'm still preferring Gallant to it, and I think the atmosphere and the writing of it, I think Gallant did a bit better. Then the main difference is that in Belladonna you have death as an actual character, and Signa is just not touched by death. She can die, but she won't actually stay dead. She'll just come back to life because death can't touch her, which I think is an interesting concept, and I like that. And I like the fact that we've got this mystery of what's happened to the person that she's now with. So she's been sent to another distant family member. His wife has died, and so you have the mystery of, well, how did she die and what's happened there, and the fact that his daughter's ill and stuff. So it's like, you could say it's interesting for that, but I'm just not connecting to it that much. So I'm a bit like on the fence about it. Like, it's a good read, it's not bad, but it's not anything amazing yet. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about that. So I'm actually going to wait to continue with that one till next week. And then we also have Jade City, and I'm now up to chapter 18 at page 152. I like the plot in this. However, there's so much info dumping in it that it's just a bit boring at times, and it's weird info dumping as well, because you'll be following a character, suddenly in the middle of the page they'll then start thinking about something completely different, and it'll be like 2 pages of info dumping about a subject that you didn't necessarily need to know, or maybe it becomes clear why you need it later but it doesn't feel very relevant, and then it goes back to the storyline. I am intrigued by the actual storyline because it's a lot of like political manoeuvring, which I really like in my books, and so seeing this is more of a gang setup rather than, I think I mentioned already, but like royals and stuff with political manoeuvring, I'm enjoying it. There are points in this where I'm really like, oh, that's a lot of information that I don't feel like I needed. Again, I'm not sure how to take this one. Again, another easy read, because when I read it I am intrigued. It's just those points that will come up that just feels like nothing but info dumping. But like I say, the actual storyline is interesting to me. I just feel like if we don't later need that information that's been given to us, then this could have been shorter by like 80 pages and I would have preferred it. But we'll see, because I'm hoping that it picks up from here. But at the moment I can say I don't feel inclined to carry on with the series, but I will finish the book. So yeah, I don't know. I've seen quite a few people like mixed reviews on this. Some people absolutely love this trilogy and some people have really struggled with this first book and then they say it gets better. Like, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just hoping that it's less info dumping now that I'm past this first chunk. And I hate saying info dumping in a fantasy book because you need the information for the world, for all of that stuff, because it's got to be built. It's an intricate fantasy world. However, like I say, I feel like some of the information we're getting in this isn't as needed, and that's why it feels info dumpy. So I was having 2 very meh reads. Like, they're not bad books, but I'm not loving them either. And so I decided to pick up a short story, and that's The Pig in the Derby Hat by M.A. Knight. And I found this because of a booktoker? I think that's what you say. Someone on BookTok, and it was actually his book. So I've been following this person for a long while and I really like his videos, and then he was talking about the fact that, oh, everybody likes cozy fantasies and here I am having written some, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll give it a try, and then found it on Kindle Unlimited. It's such a short read and I'm so pleased I picked it up because it was definitely what I needed to break up these okay books with something that was just so perfect. I loved it. I would recommend reading this book. You can read it in an hour. It's a really short book. Get yourself a hot drink and a pastry and curl up reading this book. It was so lovely. I'm not going to go into what it's about because it is such a short book, but it was absolutely amazing. And this lighting is awful, I'm sorry, but it is gone 3 o'clock and it's starting to get dark, so we're gonna try and speed this up. But it was such a lovely, heartwarming book. I actually want to get the physical copies because I know that this book is going to be one that I go back to if I'm feeling like I need a comfort book. I do have a lot of books that I see as comfort books, but they are longer books and sometimes you just need something quicker to pick up, and this fulfills that perfectly. There are actually 3 books, they're all short, they're following the same characters, and it's like a slightly paranormal element that's happening to them. And I'm really not going to say much more than that because they are so short, but I would highly recommend. I think it was lovely, it was great, and I'm so pleased that it broke up the reading week with that, because like I say, the other 2 books are okay, but they're not anything amazing. I am actually in the middle of 5 books, but 3 of the other books are for the separate vlog that's coming at the end of January, and they are amazing, but I keep having to put them down to pick up the books for this vlog. I'm really feeling it, and maybe that's why I'm also noticing that these books aren't like new favourites, because I'm reading books that are probably going to be new favourites. But anyway, that's not the point. Today, important news with Animal Crossing. I had to build the campsite yesterday, so it's all built. Now that means when I turn this on, we're going to have a campsite villager. And this, because it is the first villager in the campsite, you have to keep them, or at least for a little while. And I swear to God, if it's another pig, I just can't with this game. I have had 2 villagers that I didn't want and both of them were pigs. And if this 3rd villager ends up being that in the campsite, I will be so annoyed with it. So that's what we're going to have to check. That's going to be the first port of call today, is to check the campsite villager, because I just can't. Anything but a pig. Well, actually, I don't want to say anything because there's a lot of villagers that I don't want, but let's try and manifest some positivity that we're going to get a villager that I want. Good afternoon. We are down to the last 2 night shifts and I could not be happier. I'm so excited to just have this week of nights over. It's going to be so good, and the sun, yet again, does not want to play ball. I hate filming on a night shift, like when I've been working a night shift, because this sun is awful because it's setting. It's late enough in the afternoon that it's now starting to set. As a result, the lighting gets rubbish. Let me see if there's anything I can do. Hang on. Did that help? I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I've been struggling with this week, is just awful lighting, just purely because of the timings that I've been filming and the fact that I've been tired and the fact that I haven't done much. So literally all this week has been is reading, obviously because we're a reading vlog, then food, and what I've been cooking, because I have not left the house, in all honesty. I get home from work at 7 o'clock in the morning, I go to sleep, I wake up, and it's literally read, Animal Crossing, cook, and that's it. That's my day done. That is all I'm doing before I'm back to work again. So I hope you've enjoyed all the cooking parts of this, because there's been a lot of them. I suppose you're getting a look at what I eat during the week. Anyway, why am I rambling on about that? Let's actually do some updates. So, Animal Crossing. Honestly, haven't done as much of the Animal Crossing this week compared to last week, but we have had the villager from the campsite. Okay, so the wins, it wasn't a pig, which is great. The negative is it still wasn't one that I would have chosen, but it's not a pig. So we're gonna do what we can, so there we go. That's that one. I'm looking forward to playing a bit more of this. I've been playing it for an hour each day, which I've been loving, and it's just a nice way to relax. I've been gushing about it for the last couple of weeks quite a lot. So moving on to the reading update. We have Jade City by Frondalee. I now am at page 334, chapter 40, and there is 160-ish pages left to go, and I cannot wait to finish this book. I'm gonna break it down into 80 pages today and 80 pages tomorrow. That's the plan. We'll see if it works. And I have to admit, once you got past that initial block of 150 pages, this book got so much more interesting. I went from being like the plot was interesting, but it was broken up with so much info dumping, to now actually being really fast paced, really high stakes, and I am interested and gripped and want to know what's going to happen. So far in this book, I can say that I want to carry on with the series, and I do. Is it going to happen anytime soon? No. That could change in these last 160 pages. Obviously, it could get a lot more explosive and I could finish it and be like, oh my god, I want to know what happens next. For now, where I'm at, I would say, yes, I would like to carry on because I am interested, but it's not a major rush. Out of all the series that I'm in the middle of, this is one that's on the lower end, and that is a video that I'm going to be doing, is what series am I in the middle of? Not just fantasy books, but all of the series that I'm in the middle of, and the priority of where I'm putting them as to where I want to continue. And I think I'll probably do that maybe March time, see what the video schedule's looking at. But it's going to be coming up soon, and this lighting, please. Oh good lord. But yeah, so that one's coming up soon, and yeah, at the moment I can say yes, I would continue, but it's not high priority. It's something that I am intrigued, I'm enjoying, and I would pick up if I want something a little bit different. Like I said, the politicking and stuff, that's where I'm really interested at, and just the fact that it's so much more violent politicking than what I would normally read, because I think I've been mentioning this all week, but the politicking that I'm used to is like court politics. That's a lot more like sly backstabbing, things like this, whereas this is more out and out violence in retaliation to things that are happening, which is very interesting. But we'll see how it goes. I have high hopes. I'm hoping that these last 160 pages make me go, I need that next book and I really want to continue. We're gonna see. And that's it. That's all the updates I've got for you. I do have an ebook that I'm continuing on with, but that is Hellbent, and that's going to be in a different video. Still loving it. Still great. But yeah, that is everything actually. So I'm gonna run to the shops because it looks like it's about to pee it down outside. So I'm going to run to the shops, do a tiny bit of food shopping. I just need things like milk and cheese. And then I need to start editing this vlog. I want to read Animal Crossing and cook, which I will probably bring you along for the cooking part because that's what this week has turned into. So for everyone that says they like those cooking portions and they want more of them, well, that's what this week is. Reading and cooking. You're welcome. Like, I hope you like it. I hope you found it interesting. This is what happens on the night shifts. It just means that I get nothing done and I don't really want to go outside, but I do want to go outside because I want to go book shopping. I'm really feeling that need to go book shopping at the minute, and I can't because, well, I could, but I'm too exhausted. Like, I could, instead of going food shopping, just go to the local town and go book shopping, but then I won't get all the other stuff done and then I'll be more exhausted for my night shift, so it's better I don't do that. And I'm not going to. I know where my energy levels are at and it will be the walk there and I'll be too tired to look at the books, and so it'll be a pointless thing. But that is what I want to do. But never mind. Right, I'm still rambling. I'm gonna go because this update was literally not much apart from me complaining about the lighting issues. This is why I need to get a blimmin' ring light. I've been on about it for years. Trying to film in the afternoon on a winter's day, it's not the one. Anyway, right, I'm still rambling. I think you can tell that I'm just tired because this is where the pointless rambles come in. And I ramble normally, but okay, you know what? This lighting's going, it's a cue. We're gonna stop. I'm gonna go, you know what? We'll make a pizza for dinner today. So let's make pizza. But yeah, okay, right. I finished Jade City and I really enjoyed this actually. I know it took me a little while to get into it. That first 150 pages was a bit of a slog, but by the end of this book I've been really hooked, really intrigued. I think the ending was really fast paced, there was a lot going on, the stakes were really high, and I am intrigued to see what's going to happen next. So I went from feeling at the start of this book I'm not going to carry on with the series to I'm going to carry on but it's not a high priority to now I want to carry on with this series. I would love to say I'm going to finish the series this year because there is only 2 more books, but I also know how bad at continuing on the series I am, but I would love to at least read the second book this year. I just found it so explosive, that ending. I ended up feeling really emotional towards some of the characters, towards some of the things that were happening in this. There were some turns that I wasn't quite expecting and I just think it worked really well. I also mentioned how at the start of this the chapters felt really long. By the end of this the chapters were quicker, and I think that also helped with the feeling of the pacing of this book because it went from longer chapters with quite a lot of information about the world and about different characters and stuff, then feeling like the chapters were like 3 or 4 pages long instead of 10, and it just helped quicken the pace and it worked leading up to those high stakes. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I do think the beginning of this, as much as it was slow, it was useful in setting up how important certain things are in this culture, and I think without that, I mean, some of the stuff that was in the first bit I don't think we needed, but it was helpful in establishing that culture and understanding the motivations behind a lot of things, and I just found it really quite interesting, and I'm glad that I pushed through with this. It was a book that at no point did I thought I'm going to put this down and not carry on, because there was enough in the beginning bit of the plot to keep me intrigued, but it would have been a borderline, like if there wasn't more substance to the plot at the start, then I would have potentially put it down and not continued, but I'm really pleased that that wasn't the case and that there was enough to keep me wanting to turn the pages and see what happened next, because it was definitely worth it. I really liked the ending of this. So while this book isn't a new favourite because of everything that I've just said, it's definitely a series that I think has potential to grow and become one that I recommend if you want something that is urban fantasy and a bit different and just pushing, I mean for me, definitely pushing outside my comfort zone, because this isn't something I'd normally read, as I've mentioned throughout this video, but definitely one that I would recommend for anyone that's interested in urban fantasy, because a lot of urban fantasy I find has like quite a heavy romance plotline, whereas this doesn't. It's really focused in on the politics of it all, the manoeuvring and how raw it all is, and just like the war, the fighting and all of that. So you don't get much of a romance in this. Like there's a little one in the background, but it's already pre-established before the book, so there's none of that focus really. So I think if that's what you're looking for in urban fantasy without the emphasis on romance, I think this one's going to be a really good one to go for. But yeah, I can't wait to read the rest of the books and see where it's going to go. I feel like there's going to be a lot of like fallout. I feel like just the stakes are so high and that no one's actually safe, which I like in a book, because so often you'll have it where you know our main characters are going to make it through this, whereas I feel like in this book, yeah, nobody's safe. So that always amps up the tension of a book when you don't know who's going to survive. But yeah, so that was really good. I actually really liked this. If you compare it to the last weekly vlog where I was reading Argo, and that started off and I was really intrigued and really interested to go into it, but wasn't quite gelling with the writing style, but happy enough to continue on towards, by the end of it, really not enjoying it, to then have basically a role reversal of this one. I really enjoyed it. And that is it for this weekly vlog. So thank you so much for joining me. Let me know if you would now read Jade City after what I've said, because that was, again, as I said, a deciding factor among a lot of people that were choosing for this book, is that they wanted to read it and they were going to potentially use my review and my thoughts on it as to whether they would. So let me know if you now would read it. But yeah, we're gonna leave it there. So if you have made it this far, then leave a little green heart emoji in the comments below, and I think that will do. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it that thumbs up, subscribe and comment. Those 3 things are so important to helping this channel grow. As always, my social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the next video.